is the man himself. Take it away, good sir.
Boom, boom. It's the Leo Be the Lion show. Boom, boom. Gonna tell you what you need to know. Boom, boom. Now here comes your boy Leo. Hey everybody, welcome to the Leo Be the Lion show. Coming to you live from Respectable Street every Monday, 5 p.m. from 5 to 6. Thanks to H7 for making sure my level's all right, making sure the camera's going straight. Yeah, he's a reliable producer. Anybody needs some tech work, anything, and he has a band called Underline, get at him. H7. Find him on Facebook or all socials at Underlined. Yo, I got a jam-packed show for you today. A lot of different things and a couple of things I just added recently to the show from what I heard today. You know, it's a weekly show, and I like to bring you an eclectic mix of different things. So I'm going to go and let you know the show looks a little something like this today. So we're going to be talking about, first, a recap of the weekend. What did I do over the weekend? What was Leo B. the Lion doing? Was he in his lair all weekend just hanging out? Did he go out? Did he do anything? So we're going to recap the weekend and anything I heard about over the weekend. Next, we're going to be talking about Pete Davidson and Kanye West. I had to put Pete Davidson and Kanye West in here just because it's blowing up. Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian, they just broke up, and I just think that what Kanye did to quote unquote celebrate the breakup, I thought that was hilarious, but I also think it's a huge L by Kanye. It's not very of a masculine thing to do, so we'll get into that. Also, a little local flavor. Right now, the city of Riviera Beach is holding a meeting about putting a golf course on a neighborhood that I grew up, so I'll get into that and what my thoughts about that. They've already had one meeting, and the residents were able to succeed, but I guess they're appealing, so they're having the meeting tonight. And so my mom is going to be unable to listen, so she's going to have to download the podcast or go on YouTube for Leo Be the Lion and watch my show. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Leo Be the Lion Show, and on Instagram, it's Leo Be the Lion 87. And I will comment back if you have any interaction, if you have any comments about what I'm going to talk about today. Please comment on the video on YouTube or comment, DM me, or just write to me on Instagram or Twitter. In the coming weeks, I'm gonna try to make put a few clips of the show together and during the week, so that if you did miss the show on the Monday and you don't want to see the whole hour, I'm gonna try and bring you little clips either on Instagram or just short little clips on YouTube that I've broken down with timestamps so that you can get directly to the topic you want to hear about or you want to see. Now, the next topic that after recapping the weekend and what happened with Pete Davidson and the Lone Pine Golf Course, we're going to be talking about the Dolphins versus the Bucks preseason week 1. Football is finally back, ladies and gentlemen. Last week we had the Hall of Fame game, and it was pretty lackluster. It was like a 2-hour rain delay in Canton, Ohio, and it wasn't a great way to kick off the NFL year, the NFL's preseason. But this weekend, from Thursday to Sunday, we have a whole slate of preseason game 1. I'm going to be taking you to the yearly tradition of the Dolphins versus the Bucks. They're going to be playing in Tampa this year, and I'll be breaking down a little bit of what to watch for and things like that. Then I'm going to be bringing you, to stay in the NFL world, I'm going to be bringing you my NFL predictions for the year. We're going to be looking at the AFC primarily, and I'm going to bring you the playoff predictions that I have, 1 through 7, what their records are going to be, and who's going to make the Super Bowl. And if you don't agree with me, if you do agree with me, like I said, shoot me a message, comment, like, or subscribe on YouTube and on Twitter, Leo Be the Lion Show. And then, after talking about the Pro Bowl, we're going to talk about some college football. NCAA is back. Myself being a UCF and FAU alum, I'm excited for the UCF and FAU seasons. I'm excited for Willie Taggart down in Boca. I'm excited for Gus Malzahn in Orlando. And I'm excited for those teams to show what they can do before they move up conferences. Then I'm going to give you a little grab bag if we have any time left. I have a little story time with Leo Be the Lion that I'm saving, and you might want to stick around for it and see if you get a kick out of that story. So without any further ado, let's get right into the topics. We're going to recap the weekend. Let's get excited. And I wasn't blinded by the lights. That's a little dad joke there for recapping the weekend. I make myself laugh sometimes, so just hashtag dad jokes. So the first thing I did was I have a Mercedes-Benz E350, and everyone, before I bought my Mercedes, people were talking about, oh, you're going to have to worry about the maintenance, you're going to have to worry about this and that and the tires and the air conditioning and blah, blah, blah. Well, it took me about 3 months before I got this E350, and the model that I got is one of the most reliable Mercedes-Benz models with the model year that has come out. And I'm a DIYer, so I do it myself. And I do it myself sometimes. But anyway, I'm a DIYer, and I said, okay, Mercedes, my services B is due. And for those of you who don't know, Mercedes has two types of service. They do a service A, where it's a glorified oil change, and then they check your windows to make sure your windows work, and they check your trunk to make sure your trunk pops up and pops back down, and they just check your gadgets and your gizmos to make sure everything works, and then they just give you an oil change, and they charge you $250 for it. So I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And then when the service B came due, they said it'll be about $380 to about $700 for a service B, which is basically another oil change, and this time they just top off the other fluids for you. So me being a do-it-yourselfer, I decided I'm going to change my oil. I looked at the oil prices. Prices for 7 quarts of oil for a 5-quart jug at Walmart is $24, and then for a 5-quart jug at AutoZone was $33. So I got a 5-quart jug from Walmart, got my other 2 quarts from AutoZone because they didn't have it at Walmart, and then I got the filter for about $12. So for about $60, let's just say, in about an hour of my time, I was able to change my oil and save over $500 based on what Mercedes-Benz was trying to charge me. So if that's not an illustration or a recount, an anecdote of how much money you can save by doing it yourself, then I don't know what is. But let me tell you, it does pay to have the right tools. It pays to have the right torque wrench. It pays to have the right jack. Because before I got my hydraulic jack and the jack stands, I was changing my own oil by using a vacuum going up the top because I couldn't lift the car up, and I didn't want to just sit the car on the tire jack by itself. It wouldn't be heavy. It wouldn't withstand the weight of the car for that long. So, you make it do, and you get it done. I was able to do that. Then take a quick break, relax a little bit after getting the oil change, make sure there's enough oil in there. Then I wash my car. My car is looking great. If it didn't rain yesterday, it still would be looking extra pristine, but it did rain yesterday, and that's the crappy part about washing your car and trying to keep your car looking clean, because inevitably when you wash your car, either that day or the next day living down in Florida, you're going to get either some bird poop, some love bug stuff, some rain, water spots, or what have you. You never know what kind of debris and stuff is going around this Florida air. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. 2 tips for the car wash. Use microfiber. I subscribe to Chris Fix on YouTube. Shout out to Chris Fix. Any YouTube videos you need about cars, he's really good, Chris Fix. And so he recommends the microfiber, and they always say wash the wheels after. But personally, I don't like to wash the wheels after, because if you're washing your car, I'd rather wash the wheels first, because if you dry off your car and then you go to wash your wheels, some of the water is going to splash onto the car, and then you're going to have to really wipe that down, make sure it doesn't get the water spots if you're as anal or type A as I am. So that's about it for the Mercedes time. But let me just now transition into Pete, a.k.a. Skeet Davidson. So I'm not surprised at Kanye, personally. He's obviously head over heels still in love with Kim K, and he's jealous, and he's heartbroken, and he wants his girl back. I guess he been wanted his girl back, but he tried to really put down the guy who his girl was dating, Pete Davidson. And, you know, I don't really care for either of them too much, but it's a cool hot topic because it's a life lesson for us guys out there. Yo, if your girlfriend breaks up with you because she says that, you know, you're too emotional, you're too wild, you're too this or that, you know, she wants to be attracted to that person that she met. Maybe that person that wooed her. Maybe that person the man that she met originally. And with Kanye showing his ass, so to speak, by acting so jealous, by acting so immature, and even putting a fake New York Times article when he found out that Pete Davidson and Kim K broke up by saying, "Rest in peace, Skeet Davidson," or "Skeet Davidson is dead." To me, yeah, it's petty, but in this world, like, to be real, pettiness and jealousy, like, that's like what a small man would do. That's like what, like, the feminine energy would do. Like, if you really want to be a man and you really want to be masculine, you don't let that kind of thing bother you. Or if you do, you figure out a way that you could channel that energy into something productive. Like, you don't take that energy and say and post it out for your millions of followers to say, "Oh, he's dead. Thank you. Now I can date my ex-wife again." Like, that to me just sounds kind of like weak, in my opinion, coming from a position of weakness, not a position of strength, and a position of scarcity. And we all know that it's better to come from a position of abundance in any situation. If you're always coming from scarcity, you make decisions based on fear. You make decisions based on nervousness. You come from a position of abundance, you make decisions based on confidence. You make decisions based on facts and past history precedents. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that situation. I think it's a big L for Kanye. You know, who's scoring? Nobody's really scoring, but I'm scoring today. So I really think it's a big L for Kanye as far as the whole Kanye-Pete dynamic. They've made fun of each other. But to be real, I mean, Pete was just trying to defend himself. I mean, he's just trying to date who he wants to date, and he's dating. It's not like he personally was like, "Oh, Kanye's with her. I'm going to get with her now that Kanye's with her." No, he saw her on SNL one time. She's fine. Made the moves. So, Kanye, do better, man. I know you're better than this. You're artistic. Yeah, it's a fine line between genius and insanity, but, you know, walk the line of the genius a little bit more. Think before you do it. You know, you might have billions of dollars, but we're all human. That's all I got to say about that. Now, something that's very important to me, a little local topic. I am Leo B. the Lion. You know me as Leo B. the Lion Show. You follow me on Twitter, Leo B. the Lion Show, and Instagram at Leo B. the Lion 87. But like I've said before in my previous shows, I'm a native to Palm Beach County. I'm a native to Riviera Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, West Palm Beach, those areas north of the county. And I grew up in Lone Pine Estates. And Lone Pine Estates, for those of you that don't know or can recognize it based on the area, it's across the street from the Rapids Water Park. And for years, the Lone Pine Estates was probably built, I think, 1984, 1985. And my parents have been living there since 1990. And so, actually 1989. And there's always been a municipal golf course there. Palm Beach Lone Pine Golf Course, that's 18 holes. The average par for a regular golf course is 70 or 72, where this average par for the Lone Pine golf course is about 62, and it's just a nice little hometown course. It's the only golf course in Riviera Beach city limits. I repeat, the only golf course in Riviera Beach city limits. There's not a lot of green space in Riviera Beach. The reason why I'm bringing this up is developers want to tear down the golf course and build condos where the golf course used to be. Now, there's several reasons why I oppose this. One, because of the limited green space within Riviera Beach. Two, well, actually, let's stay on one for a second. If you think about it, if you go down Blue Heron, which is the main corridor of Riviera Beach, there is storefronts after storefronts. And then where there is not storefronts, there are construction ready to make more storefronts or redeveloping the land because there was storefront on there before and it's all commercially zoned. City of Riviera Beach is having a meeting tonight for the residents of Lone Pine to discuss what the future of the golf course is going to be. I personally don't want the golf course to be torn down. One, because I've played there over 100 times growing up. Two, because it's nice to have that peace and quiet of the golf course. That's why a lot of people have moved in there, into Lone Pine Estates. Three, if you remove that golf course, you're going to have to put another traffic light on Military Trail. So now you'll have a traffic light at Turtle Cay. You'll have a traffic light at 45th. And then you'll probably have 2 traffic lights at Lone Pine for each of the entrances. Number 4, the amount of increased traffic and increased crime from just having so many people in per capita within a square mile. If you're just going to have people stacked on top of each other, you're going to expect people to not get along always. Now people say, well, what about NIMBYism? And if you've never heard of that, NIMBY stands for Not in My Backyard. And a lot of people do this when they hear affordable housing and they hear about housing projects going up. They say, oh, well, not in my backyard. And then you may be wondering, well, Leo be the lion. What makes you think that, why aren't you a hypocrite in saying that, why aren't you saying not in my backyard? It's because there's so much land available that needs to just be rezoned for residential use that's in Riviera Beach. I can think of right before you get to Dixie Highway and Blue Heron, there's a 6-acre parcel of land that's up on a hill that's wide open for anybody to make affordable housing. There's other land that if you go north of Silver Beach Road, there's plenty of land next to the Army Reserve Center. But you're telling me that you want to build condos on a golf course that is adjacent and abuts up to another residential neighborhood? No, that's not. I don't think that's the right thing to do. So I hope, good luck to the Lone Pine residents tonight at 7. Good luck to the city of the Riviera Beach for those residents who do not want another. Yeah, of course, we need affordable housing. But if you lose the only golf course in Riviera Beach, come on, guys. Palm Beach County is the golf capital of the world. You're going to lose in the city limits. You're going to lose the only golf course that's in Riviera Beach's city limits? I hope not. I hope not. So, after that, now let's switch it up to something more positive. Let's switch it up to the NFL preseason. So now we're going to be talking today about the Dolphins versus Bucks. The Dolphins are on the road week 1, August 13th of the preseason, and on Saturday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, there's a few things that we can expect for the first preseason game. Usually the starters don't play much, if at all. Usually the starters will play maybe a series if that much. And so it's important to watch the game to get an eye on who the backups are going to be, see maybe the rookies, see who can show out the most and who can make a name for themselves so they don't get cut. Because right now they're dealing with 90 players on the roster, and eventually they're going to have to cut that down to almost in half to 53. And so there's going to be a lot of players, a lot of free agents available that get cut, a lot of practice squad players that get cut. So it's important to watch these teams to see who could make the final 53-man roster. It's an annual tradition, Dolphins and Bucks and Dolphins. Every year in the preseason they play. It's a Florida thing. I wish that the NFL could make it a tradition in the regular season where if you're an in-state rival, you'd be able to play every year. Like, say you play your 6 divisional games and then you play the one in-state rival if you have it. So that would include the Jets and the Giants playing each other every year. I think that would be pretty cool. That would include the Dolphins and the Bucks. That would include the Bucks and the Jags, Dolphins and the Jags. And then also other teams like in California, like if you have the Rams versus the Chargers. I just think those inter-city or interstate rivalries would be cool to see on more than a preseason basis. I really think it would be nice to see, I have a friendly wager with my friend Andrew that the Dolphins are going to have a better record than the Bucks this year. And so it would be cool to see if there was a head-to-head matchup that we could use instead of just the overall record. Because I'd rather bet, if the Dolphins are going to play the Bucks, I'd rather say that the Dolphins are going to beat the Bucks that day instead of probably having that the Dolphins will have a better record. But I'm still confident the Dolphins will have a better record than the Bucks when it's all said and done. My standing prediction is the Dolphins are going to win 12 games. And I don't think the Bucks will win more than 10 or 11 games. So, Andrew, if you're listening, go Dolphins. Bucks suck. Now, I printed out the Dolphins depth chart. Here, and there's a couple of issues that I take with the Dolphins depth chart. So, I just thought it was funny that we do have a fullback in the depth chart, but they have 2 lines for our running back, almost like as if we have like a dual starter that one game Chase Edmonds is going to start, and then the next game Raheem Mostert is going to start. Now, I like our pickup. I like how our offense is going to be the zone running offense, play action type timing offense, and I really think that it's going to make the defense be on their heels a lot. If you always have a guy in motion before the play starts, if you always have that speedster to determine what type of defense it is, then you'll be able to put the quarterback and put Tua in a much better position to succeed. Now, having all the speed, the defense is going to have to do so much homework on whether they want to stop the run or stop the pass, because if you're stopping the run, you want 8 guys in the box, but yet you have 2 burners on the outside in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle being on the outside, and they're the 2 starting wide receivers. I really find it hard because if you put one of those guys, if for 1-2 plays in the game, you put a single high safety up there, and you just have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle one-on-one against the corners, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are going to win that every day because they're just able to – you can't really bump and run as much as you can back in the day. If you could check the wide receivers, you could bump and run the wide receivers, I'd say we might be in trouble because I don't know if Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle are going to be able to beat the bump and run coverage. But the way it is today, you just got to do a little bump and then the receivers can get on their brakes and get into their routes. And so I really think that the Dolphins' offense is going to be super exciting. When do you remember the Dolphins being super excited? I haven't been this excited for a Dolphins season since we got Brandon Marshall. And I think that was like 2008. And that's the last time we went to – that's when we won the division and went 11-5. But I just think that it's important for the Dolphins to get off to a fast start in this game, show that the starters can do a little something on their first drive. You don't want to see Tua throw an interception on his first drive or on the first series. You want to be kind of as almost it's not a dress rehearsal for the regular season, but a way to build the continuity against other teams. You've been playing for these past 3 weeks. You've been playing against your own team. And now that you finally get to hit somebody else and finally get to practice with the other team, the Dolphins are in Tampa, are going to, starting Wednesday, going to be in Tampa to practice with the Bucs. And so when you can finally get to practice and play against other teams, you really can try to gauge or get a better idea of how how good the team is actually going to be. Coming into the radio show today, I was listening on the radio to Andy Slater, and he's a Dolphins guy. He talks on the radio, and he was saying that he wants to know how the Bucs defenders are talking about Tua, like after practice, after the preseason game. If the Bucs defenders are saying, "Oh man, that Tyreek Hill is pretty fast," or "Oh, Jalen Waddle's pretty fast," or if they have any inkling of giving up some information about what they think about the Dolphins' offense, it'll be really interesting to hear, because it'll ring true. It'll just reaffirm and confirm everything that we're hoping as Dolphins fans, that the Dolphins are going to have a great season offensively this year. But if we don't hear anything like that, it'll be kind of nerve-wracking, because it will make us wonder, are we seeing everything that we're seeing in training camp? Is that legit, or is that just straight training camp reps? It's cool if you have somebody that does well in practice, but there is such thing as called being a practice pro. You might show out. You might be the best player, world beater in practice, but for some reason, when those lights turn on, you're just a regular average player. And I've seen that happen on the high school level, college level, NFL level. Some people have great camps, but then for some reason or another, they don't perform when week one kicks off. They don't have a career. Like one player that I'll always remember that showed out in the preseason and then actually had a decent career. It was not a Dolphins player, actually. It was Victor Cruz. Victor Cruz had, I think, three long TDs in the preseason, and then he had a good career for the Giants. So shout out to Victor Cruz, salsa dancer, celebrator. Shout out. A couple more things about this Dolphins depth chart. I'm worried about the O-line. I really think that, Connor Williams is going to be center. You have Dieter as a backup, but Dieter's been getting injured lately. And then you have Armstead on the left. The best rushers, the best edge rushers are going to be on the left tackle. And I think that's a good spot for Armstead. I've watched Austin Jackson at the right tackle position get a couple pancakes in the running game in training camp. But I think it's just it's nice to see. It's almost like, show me what you can do when the lights are on. And then as far as the defense, I was surprised that they have Melvin Ingram just as the day one starter and not Van Ginkel. Now, I think Gink has the potential to be a starter, but the Dolphins are hoping that Ingram shows his prowess, shows his edge rushing prowess from a few years ago when he was really a star. I think we got a great discount deal on Melvin Ingram, and now that we have him, if he can revitalize his career a la Von Miller, if Melvin Ingram can come to the Dolphins, just like Von Miller, they thought he was done in Denver, and then he went to the Rams, and now he's a key piece in the puzzle on the Rams defense. So the same thing I'm hoping that happens with Melvin Ingram for this year for the Dolphins. And then I'm excited about our safeties. We have Brandon Jones and Javon Holland, a second-year player and a third-year player at safety. And these were probably two of the top 5 draft pickups by Chris Greer ever. They've come in and performed and shown that the NFL is not too big for them. So I'm excited to see what they can do when they really get going and they really get some years under their belt and they're able to play together. Because once we can build that chemistry in the backfield, in the defensive secondary, in the defensive backfield, it'll be really important to help in this passing league. We've seen the NFL is a passing league. if you have shoot, Patrick Mahomes only needed 13 seconds to get in field goal range. They needed 2 passes in 13 seconds to get in field goal range. So if that's not a passing league illustration of what's a passing league, then I don't know what is. And to have the Dolphins offense have the potential to be a great passing team, one of the best passing offenses since Dan Marino, if not since Dan Marino, because the last best passing offense that we had, I want to say, was with Chad Pennington. But Chad Pennington was the one who had the noodle arm. And that was more based on Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams still trying to show out a little bit. And that was more based on little play actions, little slants and stuff. And we weren't really a huge big play offense back when we had Chad Pennington. But I really think with Tua's going to be able to show everybody why he showed out in Alabama, why he showed out in high school, and why he's going to be a great top 15 quarterback this year in the NFL. Couple other players, rookies to watch out for. 3 rookies to watch out for, draft picks that the Dolphins made. Eric Ezukanma, he's a wide receiver. He was one of our later round picks. We didn't have early picks this year. And Eric Ezukanma, from all reports, has shown up and really been a bright spot in camp for the wide receiving core. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, they've all mentioned how he's been able to get open, how he's been able to run his routes and has sure hands. So I'm excited to see what position he'll be in the depth chart and what position he'll end up being in, because I assume he's going to make the team. He's a draft pick, but there are a lot. We have a deep wide receiving core this year. We got Jalen Waddle. If the top 4 receivers are Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson, and let's just say Mohamed Sanu, Ezukanma is going to be the 5th. And then you still have Sherfield, and you have Lynn Bowden Jr., you have Craycraft, Braylon Sanders, who's also another rookie. And so right now we have 11 wide receivers that we have to choose basically 5 or 6 out of. So that's going to be interesting to see. And I'm excited. We know Waddle, we know Hill, and we know Cedric Wilson are going to do. The Dolphins are shopping Preston Williams to the Bears, and they're in trade talks right now. So hopefully for Preston Williams, they'll let go of Roquan Smith or maybe an O-lineman that we can plug in and just add some more depth to our O-line. I'd love to get another linebacker in Roquan Smith, but I think the Dolphins would have to give up more picks. So our draft capital is at a premium right now. We can't be like the Rams and say F those picks, because we've shown Chris Greer can draft more often than not, and we want some good pickups for next year coming out of the draft. Channing Tindall, probably our fastest linebacker, and he's shown the most promise. I think he's not going to be a starter, but they're giving him the chance in this first preseason game to probably play the majority of the minutes. He's probably going to get in the second quarter and play the rest of the game just to show, or at least until the end of the third, just to show what he can do. We want everybody to stay healthy too. So if he complains of any injuries, we're going to get him out of there and just make sure that he's healthy. Then Cameron Good. Cameron Good is another draft pick. We're hoping that he can show up and be able to contribute to the team. I really don't expect a lot from the Dolphins offense this first game. I really think it's going to be just simple, straightforward offense. You're not going to get much, a couple dives, maybe a pitch. Then you're going to get, so just to test the running game. And then maybe a play action here or there. But I don't think you're going to see anything really exotic or really fancy, really freaky. I really think it's just going to be a vanilla offensive scheme like they pretty much do in preseason. Preseason usually is just a vanilla offensive scheme. Neither coach wants to give too much away. And so it's like a glorified, yeah, sure, this is what we're going to run in the regular season, but everybody knows that's not what they're going to run in the regular season. They've been putting in plays that you may have never seen before, that they've never shown to the public, so they're going to have those ready to go for the regular season. But these plays are going to be like bread and butter plays that, they're going to incorporate into the game plan, but maybe not necessarily the same way that they incorporate it. So say if you come into the game with 10 to 15 scripted plays, when they'll probably bring like 1 or 2 plays from the preseason in, just if they were successful, if they were good plays, if they want to get more out of that, or if the coach sees that, I can build off this play. So say if you saw something in I form and then you were like, this play action worked, well, now let's do a draw off of it. Or, this power zone run scheme worked, so now let's do a PA stretch and make it look like we're going to do the power zone run scheme or a stretch to the right, but then Tua pulls it back in and then gets Tyreek Hill on a deep cross over the middle for 45 yards, something like that. So expect a vanilla game plan, and you won't see it in the preseason. But I like the little attitude that Tua is getting on his shoulder. He's getting a little chip on his shoulder. There was a little controversy on Dolphins Twitter yesterday about there was 2 Tua hecklers. And I like the Tua attitude that Tua is given. I'm going to call it Tua attitude. Because the hecklers were talking to him and he started walking away. And as he was walking away, he flicked off the 2 hecklers. And normally I'd be like, come on, Tua, you're bigger than that. You don't need to be flicking anybody off. You're the quarterback. You're the main man. You're the star. Hate only comes from the bottom. Like, hate only comes from the cheap seats in general. So you don't really have to respond to hate. But I wanted him to respond just because there has been so many hecklers saying, he has a noodle arm. He can't throw. He's not accurate, which couldn't be further from the truth. And he's not the right quarterback for the Dolphins. So when he kind of waved, waved as he was jogging away. And as he was waving, he couldn't have put down the rest of his fingers, and then he ended up flicking the bird. So people were up in arms about that, like, our quarterback shouldn't be doing that. But, come on, it's 2022. If you don't respond to the haters, you got to do it sometimes just to have the last laugh. And you got to do it sometimes just to make sure that people know that you're not a pushover. And once they know you're not a pushover, and if they still hate and they know you're not a pushover, then that's just them being, idiots. So you can't do anything about that. So Tua, keep that Tua attitude. Keep that chip on your shoulder. Yeah, you were the number 1 quarterback in Bama. Yeah, you've had all the legendary stats coming out of Hawaii. But I think to be successful in this league, you need to have that attitude, that chip on your shoulder, like Tom Brady has been able to add to that chip on his shoulder. Even though he's won 7 Super Bowls, man still has a chip the size of a Pringles can on his shoulder. And a quick invention that I just thought of, that if anybody wants to patent this, go ahead. I'm just throwing it out there in the world. You know how on deodorant cans, you twist the bottom and then the deodorant goes up? How come they don't do that with Pringle cans? Like, you should be able to twist the bottom of the Pringle can and then the Pringles will pop up, so that you don't have to reach your hand and get your hand stuck in the Pringle can. Just thinking. I don't have the resources to make it, so if y'all want to make that invention, patent it, holler at your boy. They really need to invent that Pringles can clip, because then you could jump, and then 3 little Pringles will come up on the top. And then when it's time to buy more Pringles, because it would be all the way at the top, like a push-pop popsicle. Or a twisty deodorant thing. Just my 2 cents for that. So now let's bring it to something that I'm so excited to talk about, and that is my NFL predictions. More specifically, the NFL awards, the way too early NFL awards for the 2022-2023 season, and the way too early playoff predictions for the 2022-2023 NFL season. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start with my NFL MVP. Now, these are going to be predictions, awards, and then I'm even going to give you Super Bowl winner. And if you have any comments, you don't agree with me or you agree with me, just tell, and you want to tell me #FinsUp. Follow me on Twitter at LeoBTheLion and follow me on Instagram at LeoBTheLion87. I'll be happy to debate with you in the comments, in the DM, or if you want to come on the show, let me know. DM me. We'll make it happen. So the first prediction for NFL MVP, Patrick Mahomes. Dun, 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 dun. Now people are saying, "Oh, why Patrick Mahomes?" Yeah, he's got to be in the conversation every year for NFL MVP. Aaron Rodgers won it last year. I just think that Mahomes is out to prove everybody that now that Tyreek Hill has left, now that the Chiefs have gotten, quote-unquote, worse. They have worse wide receivers. I don't really trust Juju Smith-Schuster. He talks a lot. He's not really concentrating on football. And I really think that the Chiefs are supposed to have a down year this year, but I really think that Patrick Mahomes is going to have an MVP-type season, and he's going to be the NFL MVP this year. He's going to put up great stats. He's going to show everybody why he's still Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to get his team in its position to have the 1 or 2 seed to be able to possibly get that bye into the playoffs. It's important to get that 1 seed now more than ever because they're the only team with the bye. In the past, you could get the 1 or 2 seed, but you wouldn't have the bye. Now, so Patrick Mahomes is my MVP for the NFL this year. And then let's go to the Defensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year is a lot of tough choices. You know, you have Aaron Donald, who's in the top 3 to win it every year. Got T.J. Watt, J.J. Watt's younger brother, who's potential to win it. And then you have my pick, which is Myles Garrett. I personally think Myles Garrett is primed to have a career year after having, you know, issues last year with the Mason Rudolph thing against the Steelers and, you know, being suspended and all that. I think Myles Garrett is going to come back and show out and show why he can be the Defensive Player of the Year. Expect upwards of 15-plus sacks from Myles Garrett. He's an athletic freak. If you guys have seen his basketball videos, he could be a starting power forward in the NBA right now. He can dunk off vert. He can dunk off basically with no shoes on. He can do a backflip. Like, he's got all the skills. He can shoot the 3, and he's stronger than everybody on the NBA court. So he could definitely be a starting 4 if you wanted him. He's like bigger than Zion Williamson. So he's going to be my Defensive Player of the Year for this season coming up. I really think that Myles Garrett is going to get it done in the DPOY situation. He's going to be Defensive Player of the Year. Now, Offensive Player of the Year. Usually, the MVP is reserved for quarterbacks, as we've seen in recent years. So I'm going to give this to – I was debating, really. I was debating whether to give it to Tyreek Hill as a Dolphins homer or to this gentleman right here. His name's Derrick Henry. And I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. Yeah, he has a lot of mileage. Yeah, people say Jonathan Taylor is going to be great. But I personally think Jonathan Taylor played for 4 years at Wisconsin in a run-heavy offense. Now he's playing in a run-heavy offense with the Colts. There's only so much mileage a running back can take on. And Jonathan Taylor is smaller than Derrick Henry. The one thing that saved Derrick Henry with his mileage on his tires, on his running tires, is that he's a big bruiser running back. So he's dealing out the punishment. He's not taking the punishment as much. And so I think Derrick Henry can have at least 1,600 rushing yards, at least 18 to 22 touchdowns, and lead the Titans on another great season. Now, I just want to throw this out there. For one guy who's on a franchise tag and I think is going to have a great year, he's not going to be the Offensive Player of the Year, but I really think if you're looking at fantasy football, I really think a steal is going to be Mike Gesicki. He got the franchise tag from the Dolphins, which means you have to be paid on the average of the top 3 players at your position, so the top 3 tight ends he's getting for 1 year, that contract. And also, coming out of Penn State, he was the fastest tight end and the strongest tight end and the most agile tight end. And now finally that he has Tua with who's finally healthy, Mike Gesicki is going to have a career year. Book it, because he's going to have a career year because the Dolphins defense, the other team's defense is going to be worried about Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds, and then it's like, oh yeah, we got to worry about a 6'6", 260-pound tight end coming at us who's faster than us and he's stronger than us. Oh, yeah, we got to worry about that coming up the middle. Whew, I can't wait for Mike Gesicki to have a career year with the Dolphins. So let's just talk about, after talking about these awards, let's talk about the division and the playoff picture. first seed in the AFC. Next week, I'm going to break down the NFC playoff picture. But this week, I just wanted to restrict it to the AFC and give you guys something to think about. So next week, when I do the NFC playoff picture, we can have a Super Bowl matchup set. So this week, let's start with the 1 seed. It's going to be the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are coming off being 13 seconds away, basically, and being an overtime rule that got changed this year from getting to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Chiefs, and it was a tough loss that Josh Allen lobbied the NFL to change the overtime rules, so now that no matter what, both teams will get a chance at the ball. So the Bills I'm saying the Bills are going to be 13-4 and win the AFC East. So that's the first divisional winner, and they will get the bye, the lone bye in the NFL in the AFC playoffs. The next team, this 2 seed, will be the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs will be, I think, also 13-4, and being first in the AFC West, they'll get the 2 seed. I really think Mahomes, like I said, will have an MVP year, and the Kansas City defense is underrated. People don't give that defense enough credit. Let's see what Steve Spagnuolo can do. I think he's still there. The 3rd seed is going to be the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, I dropped my pen. Lamar Jackson is going to show everybody why he deserves a new contract. Just like what I said with Mike Gesicki being a contract year, it's a contract year for Lamar Jackson if the Ravens don't extend him. And I really think that Lamar Jackson is poised to have a great year. He's put on some weight, so if he gets hit, he can still run the ball, still scramble. He's put on the weight, and I think the Ravens are going to be 12-5 in the AFC North and take the 3 seed. Then the 4th seed, this was a tough one because I like the Titans. I really, really like the Titans. And the AFC South is probably the weakest division in the AFC. But I had to go with the Colts. I really think Darius Butler. I really think that Jonathan Taylor, the Colts, are going to be 11-6 and win the AFC South. With Matt Ryan coming to the Indianapolis Colts, he didn't really do. Matt Ryan was a potential. He was always an overachiever in the regular season, but then when the playoffs came around, he didn't do much. He got destroyed by the Giants that one year, and then destroyed by the Giants another year. And, of course, I'll never forget, still lives in infamy, 28-3. Do I need to say more? No. So Matt Ryan's coming to the Colts. He's going to be the quarterback. I really think that Matt Ryan is going to make the Colts a stronger playoff contender, especially since last year they had Carson Wentz, and they almost made the playoffs. Now for the 5th seed, let's get into the wild card seeds. The 1st and 5th seed, or the first wild card seed, is going to be the Miami Dolphins. I've been saying this as my prediction for the whole preseason. The Dolphins are going to go 12-5, be 2nd in the AFC East behind the Bills that are 13-4, and they're going to get the first wild card seed. Yeah, it's probably one of the tougher divisions besides the AFC West in the AFC, but Dolphins are poised to beat the Patriots. They kind of own the Patriots lately, and they own the Jets. So if we could steal one from the Bills, might have the opportunity to really, really, really make some noise in the playoffs. 6th seed, the the Los Angeles Chargers are going to be the 6th seed and the 2nd wild card team at 11-6. Justin Herbert's finally going to get his team into the playoffs. I think Justin Herbert, everybody is like ready to crown him the next best thing, but I personally think he's a little overrated. This year, his team, his coach, Brandon Staley, will not get too cute, and I think they'll be able to get to the playoffs and maybe steal a game or two. We'll see. And then, rounding out the playoff picture for the AFC this was a tough one too, because now I'm going to be leaving some good teams out. But I think it's going to be the Steelers. The Steelers are going to bounce back this year. They're going to be 10-7 and get the 3rd wild card. Now, there's 2 teams that I didn't include that you would think that should be in the playoffs. But every year, about half of each AFC or NFC teams don't make the playoffs. There's that much turnover in the NFL. And so I left out the Titans and I left out the defending AFC champions, the Bengals. And so I don't think the Bengals will make the playoffs. I think they're going to come back to earth. They'll have a Super Bowl hangover. And I don't think the Titans are going to make the playoffs. Yeah, Derrick Henry will be the offensive player of the year. But I think I could see Tannehill messing up towards the end of the regular season. And knowing Tannehill, seeing him for 7 years in Miami, I still really don't trust him. So I really think that 1 through 7, your AFC playoff teams are going to be the Bills, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Colts, the Dolphins, the Chargers, and the Steelers. Now, the way this shakes out is I have the Chiefs and Steelers going out of week 1. Hey, saying hi to a couple ladies outside the window. How y'all doing? Chiefs and Steelers week 1 in the playoffs in the wild card round. Chargers, Ravens, and Dolphins versus Colts. I got the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Dolphins all moving on. Then we go to the divisional round where I have the Chargers and the Bills playing each other. Remember, the Bills get that bye. And then the Dolphins and Chiefs. So that would be the 1 versus 6 seed and the 2 versus 5 seed. And I really think that the Bills will move on, beat the Chargers. And I can't get away from it. I'm going to pick them. I'm going to say that the Dolphins will upset the Chiefs. And it'll make a great storyline because it will be the storyline where Tyreek Hill comes over from the Chiefs. We don't know what kind of quarterback Tua is going to be. Tyreek Hill leaves Patrick Mahomes. Who's the person to knock Patrick Mahomes out of the playoffs? Tyreek Hill and the Miami Dolphins. So I think that would be the perfect little scenario, the perfect storyline for the Dolphins if they made it to the playoffs or somehow they could make it past the Chiefs. Then we have an all AFC East, harkening back to the early 90s, all AFC East, AFC championship game. And for the mid-'80s, the Dolphins at Bills. Dolphins will take care of business 27-20. And, yes, your Miami Dolphins will be going to the Super Bowl this year. Now, that's pie in the sky. That's if everything shakes out perfect. Realistically, I do expect the Dolphins to go 12-5. Their schedule is relatively straightforward, and we have a lot of good home games. And I expect them to at least win one playoff game. Hopefully make it to the AFC Championship. I don't expect them to make the Super Bowl, but I'm sticking to my guns. I'm predicting it that the Dolphins will make the Super Bowl this year with Tua. Young quarterbacks have a tendency on their rookie contracts to get to the Super Bowl and to perform well because they have the team around them, a la Russell Wilson, a la Ben Roethlisberger. So if you have the skills, you can bring your team to the promised land. Now, if we could take home the trophy, that's a whole other story. Now, switching gears from the program, the NFL game, to the NCAA, finishing up the show. Just giving you a quick little UCF season preview. Now, being an alum of UCF, it's always been a dream of mine that we could somehow make the playoffs, the college football playoffs, and I didn't think it was a reality until Cincinnati was able to make the playoffs last year. And then I thought it would be a reality coming due in these next several years when we're able to get into the Big 12. So this is UCF's last year in the American Athletic Conference, and I think they're going to leave it on a high note. They want to show they got a decently tough schedule for UCF standards. We have games against Louisville, games against FAU, which is an in-state rival, and then we have games against a game against Cincinnati, which is going to be tough. And then there's teams that always play us tough, like a Tulsa or a ECU, that you really don't know how UCF is going to show up, how they're going to play. But a couple of good highlights over the offseason that UCF had is that they've already signed 3 ESPN 300 commits for the following year. And we got a 4-star D tackle that chose UCF, named John Walker. He chose UCF over the likes of Miami, Alabama, and the big-name schools like that. And so it's our second year under Gus Malzahn, and he's already showing how he can come in and make a splash and make a big boom in the recruiting game. And we all know that if you can recruit, you can compete. So having UCF get those three top 300 commits is key. But also to perform this year, UCF has a transfer for quarterback. So there's been a quarterback, Gus Malzahn. He likes to run those RPOs. He likes to run a lot of scrambling with the quarterback, a lot of dual threat quarterbacks. Think of Cam Newton, think of Jared Stidham. But then you have the quarterback controversy because we have Mikey Keene, who's a sophomore, who is really more of a pocket passer, and then you have John Reese Plumlee, who's from Ole Miss. Now, John Reese Plumlee in the spring game turned that defense into Swiss cheese and was able to scramble for 50 yards to get a play. So I think he has the edge on the starter in the starting role. And I really think that September 17th, if we're 2-0 and we beat Louisville and we go down to Boca to play Willie Taggart and FAU, I plan to go to that game. If we beat FAU handily, I think the sky's the limit. I think that we could be looking at another potentially playoff year. But just to be realistic, I have 10-3, or have UCF going 10-3, but I hope 11-2 is better. And winning the American, I think Cincinnati's going to fall off because they had a lot of players leave, a lot of defensive players leave, Sauce Gardner, and then they had Desmond Ridder leave, their quarterback. So I really think that UCF has the potential to be 10-3, 11-2, and being 1 or 2 in the American. It's their last year in the American, going to the Big 12 with Cincinnati next year, and I'm excited for UCF in the Big 12 and finally be eligible just based on their conference for the NCAA playoff, college football playoffs. FAU, on the other hand, I just want them to look better than last year. They've had a year under Willie Taggart, and now they've been able to get better recruits, keep some local products, do similar to how Miami did back in the day, where they said south of Vero, we want all the recruits to come to Miami. Well, you can't do that, but a lot of Palm Beach County kids have been committing to FAU, and if FAU can lock down Palm Beach County, Florida's already known as the speed state for recruiting, but if you can lock down Palm Beach County, you have some of the fastest kids in Florida, and it will really bring FAU to have a better year this year under Willie Taggart. I have about 5 minutes left. I just want to bring you a quick little story time about when Leo B. the Lion was just a little lion cub. I was 12 years old, and I was in the Boy Scouts. Shout out Troop 132. And we went on the Appalachian Trail. So the Appalachian Trail, if you guys don't know, it runs from Georgia to Maine, I believe. And it's a trail that you can camp, hike, and explore, basically. And there's all these vistas, and you climb to the top of the mountain. You could see for miles everything. It's so beautiful. I recommend it to anybody who's an outdoorsman or outdoor type person to go check out the Appalachian Trail. Well, it was a great trip. But 4 of us, we were all hiking along the trail. It was about the second or third day. And four of the scouts, myself, Kevin Day, and Chad and Aaron, went ahead of the rest of the group. And we were about an hour ahead, hiking distance, in front of everybody. And we had walkie-talkies, so it was okay if we went ahead, right? And then all of a sudden, we're walking up the mountain, literally up the side of a mountain where you're like, almost like Stairmaster. It's so tough to walk up the side of a mountain. We see a clearing to our right, and we see 2 little black bear cubs. And we see the little bear cubs just hanging around, frolicking, doing whatever they're going to do. And we look at each other, knowing scouts, knowing, like, nature. We're like, wherever there's a bear cub, there's got to be mama bears. And somewhere nearby, looking out, checking, doing something, they're there. So we didn't look back. For the next 45 minutes, we hightailed it up that mountain. And yeah, we were tired, but we hightailed it. We didn't want to even come near a bear, near that wildlife, because we, being 13, 15-year-olds, we didn't want to have a sad trip. And we were able to evade them, let the next party coming behind us know that there was bears on the trail, so watch out. And it ended up being a great story to tell. But in addition to that, we ran out of water, and anybody that's camping know you can't just go up to a stream and just take the water. There's bacteria, there's viruses. You end up getting explosive diarrhea. But so we didn't have anything to filter the water or even to boil the water, and we ended up having to wait and call our scout leader and say, hey, we got to wait until you guys catch up to us. We saw that bear, and now we're out of water, and what are we going to do? So we had to wait 2 hours. We ended up finding another clearing in the trail, and actually it was to a road, and the road had a restaurant, so we were able to get water. So it ended up being a happy story. Listen, it's such a pleasure to bring you the Leo B. the Lion Show. Thank you again to Subculture Radio. Thank you again to Rodney Mayo for putting all this together. I'm going to be coming to you live, Leo B. the Lion Show, live 5 to 6 every Monday. And I'm just going to be bringing you sports topics, local topics that's going on, and things that interest me, and a little eclectic mix. Leo B. the Lion Show, you can follow me on Twitter at Leo B. the Lion Show, or on Instagram at Leo B. the Lion 87. If you want to hear some topics, or if you want to give me any feedback, feel free to message me. Feel free to suggest show topics. I can talk about anything that you're interested in, and I'll be able to fit it in with the show list. Stay tuned for future guests, and stay tuned for future business leaders in studio with me, and we'll be discussing debating sports, a little debate sports show style, and then I'm going to give them the mic and shoot them a little questions and shoot them a couple softballs that they can hit out of the park and tell you a little about themselves. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great week. Leo B. the Lion, signing off.